Ole Miss is going to have to take down the national champs to land this elite quarterback.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, the most watched Ole Miss podcast around. I am your host, Steven Willis, a 10-year veteran member of the national media with Yahoo Sports and a former Ole Miss staff member. On today's show, we talk about Logan Diggs and how he has way too many yards under his belt to be getting overlooked in this loaded Ole Miss backfield. We also take a look at the next position group in our top fives. It's the cornerbacks. Who needs to rise up and take control? But we start out with the reset in the quarterback room following the commitment of Ryder Lyons. It was expected to BYU. Lane Kiffin still wants a second high school quarterback in this class, and we got three names you need to keep an eye on, including who I would take right now. We're free and available on all the podcast apps and on YouTube. Thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen every day, and a special hello to the everydayers who make the show what it is. Don't forget to find a second listen on the network. Nearly every team, college or pro, is ready for you right now. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. So it's a very unique week that Ole Miss just had in the quarterback room, and everybody's going to pay attention to Ryder Lyons committing to BYU, and that's because he's a five-star. That's because Jamison Powell is committed to Ole Miss, and there was at least a flyer of a chance to where something could happen on that front. But that's not what I'm talking about. There was a quarterback and is a quarterback that Ole Miss is recruiting named Luke Fahey. He's a quarterback out of Mission Viejo High School. He took an official visit to Ohio State this weekend. Indiana took another quarterback, basically got off of his recruitment because of his official visit to Ohio State. And locally, for the Buckeyes, they've put in a crystal ball for Luke Fahey. We all know how local crystal balls go, and you know how my feelings are about recruiting, but that is interesting. Luke Fahey is the guy that I said weeks ago that I wanted to have happen. And Luke Fahey has visited Ole Miss multiple times unofficially as a prospect. Now, he hasn't taken official visits. The only officials he has taken is to Indiana and to Ohio State. So it will be on Ole Miss to get this quarterback on campus for a game, and I think that might be the strategy for the quarterbacks that they have left, other than Reese Wise, who I love. Great player, great potential with Reese Wise, and getting in that Austin Westlake pipeline doesn't ever hurt anything. But for the quarterbacks that are still available, and they still have official visits out there, they probably want them on a game weekend, and likely a big game weekend. We need to pay attention who Ole Miss brings in over the course of the regular season to see which direction they are leaning at. The quarterback that I am on board with is Luke Fahey. Everybody's going to talk about Bryson Beavers, and they should. And I will explain in just a second why I'm a little bit lesser on Bryson Beaver than I am on Luke Fahey. Luke Fahey will come into Ole Miss and compete with Reese Wise for the quarterback job. He is a four-star quarterback on Rivals. He's a four-star composite, which means that he's a high three-star on 247 and ESPN. But he's a good little quarterback, a little bit undersized, and a little bit on the smaller side. But if you look at Damon Williams, who was committed to Ole Miss for several months out of Arizona a couple of years ago, you can see that height doesn't necessarily disqualify you in this Lane Kiffin offense. Luke Fahey is somebody that comes in and makes plays. He's an absolute gunslinger. He's a super athlete. And now that you have the validation that Ohio State is on this prospect and brought him in for an official visit, you can see how this is kind of the real deal for that. Luke Fahey, he's taken 2 officials so far to Ohio State and Indiana. He has more unofficial visits to Ole Miss than anywhere. The dead period is actually hitting at the perfect time for Ole Miss. If you want this to slow down, unless there is a commitment in the next week or so, if he plans on taking more visits, that's very good for Ole Miss there. And he is from Mission Viejo, California. He's a very, very athletic, very good quarterback and very fitting in this high-speed tempo offense that Lane Kiffin likes to put out on the field from time to time. We're going to see a different version of it this season with Austin Simmons than we saw with Jackson Dart, and that's different than what we saw with Matt Corral. The flexibility is the key, and he is an athlete with a certain level of tools to where Lane Kiffin could get the absolute most out of him. And he is my prediction and who I want for the second quarterback. And I would take him right now, even over Bryson Beaver, even over Gavin Sidwar. Luke Fahey is my preference at quarterback. Now, I'm not one of these, like the John Rice Plumlee, Matt Corral argument that happened in 2019. I'm not going to get in the middle of that. If Ole Miss wins the game, if Ole Miss picks the quarterback, that's the quarterback. But my personal preference after seeing the tape on each of the quarterbacks out there, I like Luke Fahey a whole lot and probably a little bit more than Bryson Beaver. Now, we'll get on Bryson Beaver right now. He just had a starring performance at the Elite 11. I know that everybody is going to be all in on Bryson Beaver, and I know that he is the talk of the fan base. But what scares me about Bryson Beaver is schools like Auburn and LSU are hopping in late to get involved. Schools that are desperate for their next quarterback to find out what's going on. Mr. Yellowwood may be about to stroke a check to what's going on. And if this becomes a bidding war, I don't know if Ole Miss is going to be able to win it. Now, Ole Miss has some advantages when it comes to Bryson Beaver. He models his game after Jackson Dart. He plays that way. Ole Miss was the first of unofficial visit that he took after he decommitted to Boise State. There's a whole lot of stuff on the table, but where this is likely going, and I'm not anything on the kid, get what you can get, but if Texas or Texas A&M or somebody with really, really deep pockets and somebody that is extremely desperate at the quarterback position, they're likely going to end up getting this player because they're going to put an offer out there that can't necessarily be refused. Listen, he finished inside the top 5 at the Elite 11. His first visit after the decommit was to Ole Miss, but things are changing rapidly for this quarterback. It's going to cost to get this player, and he's from Vista Murrieta, not Mission Viejo, Vista Murrieta High School. Now, the third quarterback that I think we should pay attention to, at least, is Gavin Sidwar. He's at LaSalle College High School in Warrenton, Pennsylvania. And I always talk about it every time we talk about Gavin Sidwar. That is the exit that you take to get off the Pennsylvania Turnpike to get to Willow Grove Naval Air Station, NASJRB. So I am familiar with Warrenton, Pennsylvania, just by seeing that sign and looking at what's going on. He's somebody that is committed to Missouri. Big time arm, needs to put on a little weight. I like Gavin Sidwar. And if you look at the quarterbacks that Lane Kiffin has, if you look at the quarterbacks that are on the Lane Kiffin list, you're going to be in good hands, whoever's there. I really, really like Luke Fahey. And after Ohio State was on, it was like validation for my view of that quarterback. Now is just going to see, can Ole Miss get that second high school quarterback? You got one that's committed to Missouri. One, you're going to have to go to head-to-head with Ohio State. And the other, you're likely going to have to go head-to-head with Oregon because Bryson Beaver, his visit to Oregon was an official visit after the Elite 11. So we'll see exactly what is going on. Either way, Lane Kiffin is swimming in deep, deep waters going against these recruiters that recruit at an extremely high level. I think Ole Miss can land Luke Fahey if they want him. I don't know how and when it would happen, but it's just a gut feeling. It's a think thing. It's something when he had a chance to come to Ole Miss in 2024, he was here multiple times. Lane Kiffin knows everybody in the state of California from his time at USC, and I think there's a chance that Ole Miss can pull this off. But Ohio State's getting him away from Ohio State if you want to talk about teams that can rise up the price, Ohio State is one of those teams as well. So we'll see exactly how that goes. Ole Miss might avoid official depth charts, but we're not letting that stop us. We're breaking down the top 5 most important cornerbacks for the Rebels this season. That is coming up next. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra and Cialis. Heck, you might have even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiette Ready. Rougiette Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike usual pills that can take hours, Rougiette 3-in-1 formula dissolves under the tongue and kicks in fast, on average in 15 minutes. Effects can last 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control for when that moment is just right. The traditional options, if they have not worked, Rougiette might have the answer over 150,000 men, I should say, that have already made the switch. I love that it's completely online. Rougiette connects you with a board-certified doctor and ships your treatment discreetly to your door. You can even read real customer service reviews on their site. It's helping a lot of people feel more confident and present in the moment. Head to rougiette.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege. That's all one word to get 15% off today. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege and use the promo code LockedOnCollege for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, and manufacturing review. Please visit Rougiette's website for full safety information. So we are doing our top 5 list as we're getting closer every single day to SEC Media Day, and it's kind of a hard content time of what's going on, and everybody kind of taking a break from whatever's going on before SEC Media Days. They're going to come back in. They're going to be there. But you are going to get these top 5 lists. You are going to get the W's and L's. And thank you very much for tuning in. Do me a favor. Hit subscribe. Hit like. Comment and participate down below. It will help with the algorithm on YouTube. So I appreciate that as well. So the top 5 most important, and that's the key term, most important cornerbacks for Ole Miss going into 2025. It's interesting because there's all newcomers seemingly in the cornerback room. We start off with Jaylon Braxton. He was a former freshman all-SEC player at Arkansas. He got injured as a sophomore, sat out for the rest of the year, transferred after that. So the only thing that we have to go off is the freshman all-SEC team, somebody that can make a lot of plays. He is the guy that has been brought in to be the replacement for Trey Amos. I'm not calling him Trey Amos. I'm saying that his job will be to do the similar type stuff that Trey Amos was able to do. If he is able to do that, Ole Miss has a chance to be very successful, and their defense is going to be very good. If he can't do that, this defense becomes very average to good. I do not think there's a situation to where this team is bad defensively. But the difference between average to good and great to and elite is in Jaylon Braxton's control as the number 1 cornerback on this team. Number 2, in my opinion, is Cedrick Beavers. He's a cornerback that came out of Jones County Junior College. You've seen his highlights on this channel. He was injured for much of 2024. That is the reason you didn't see him. That was the reason you didn't hear of him. But he is somebody, if you follow recruiting into the state of Mississippi over the last 20 years, there feels like there have always been cornerbacks at the junior college position or the junior college level that steps into the Ole Miss defensive backfield, and they are a performer relatively straight away. Cedrick Beavers kind of feels like the next in the long line of Tony Bridges and Fred Thomas and all of those guys that have played for Ole Miss in the past. We'll have to keep an eye on what's going on. I like Cedrick Beavers. I like his game. And Ole Miss last season had a little bit of a revolving door at the field corner. Now, one of the players that was supposed to take that position was Chris Graves, and he has played a lot of football at Ole Miss. Ole Miss needs him to take the step. This former top 100 recruit out of the state of Florida has a chance to be really good for Ole Miss and beyond. But he has to develop. He has to grow. If he can take that field position and put it on lock to where Cedrick Beavers can move inside and do slot corner type stuff, things like that, this defense has a chance to be really good for Ole Miss. Number 4 on the list, we look at Antonio Kite. He originally went to Alabama when Nick Saban left. He went to Auburn, and when after a year, he decided that the state of Alabama was not for him. Ended up transferring to Ole Miss. Did not make it in the spring, so he's coming in as a fall-only position. But it's Trey Amos rules on this situation. If Nick Saban gives you an offer to play cornerback, you think that guy can play. And I expect Antonio Kite to actually play very well under Pete Golding again. They know each other very well. He is somebody that can also situate from that field corner or the slot corner position that we're going to put in with the safety. So TJ Banks is not going to be on this list. But when you look at what's going on, that is kind of an important piece. So if Antonio Kite shows up and becomes what he's supposed to be, this defense has a chance to be very good. And you hear me say that on nearly every position. If Ole Miss hits on the evaluation, if that player develops and shows up during the season, the defense has a chance to be very good. The flip side of it is, if they don't, there could be a hole in this defense, and it's going to be up to that front 7 that Ole Miss has. We've already talked about the defensive line and the linebackers to make enough noise to kind of save them. It is imperative on these defensive backs that somebody hits. And if they do, this Ole Miss team has a chance, like I said, to be very, very good. And finally, Mason Dunn, the true freshman out of Tupelo. If he contributes, that has the ability to make this defense even better. He is a 6'3", 200-poundish cornerback out of Tupelo. We've gotten to the point where one of these Tupelo players needs to actually hit, and they need to play a good bit, because Ole Miss recruiting Tupelo, they need somebody from that school to perform on an annual basis. So you can point to, it's like, see, you need a Chad Bumpus or a Jet Johnson, somebody that is on the field, just so in the future, if they're going to be a big-time recruiting force, that they can show out. He's important because of his size-speed ratio. 6'3", 6'4" cornerbacks don't necessarily grow on trees. If he hits, it's going to make the defense better. It's also going to help recruiting out with Tupelo High School as well. So we'll see exactly how that goes over the coming weeks and months. Fall camp is going to tell the tale about that. We have Dalen Flowers, who gets to see a lot of football at fall camp. Whenever the media is allowed in, he's going to be allowed in. You know, we have Michael Katz that's always around practice. Sam Hutchins is always around practice. So we'll be able to see what's going on through their eyes. So we do appreciate you tuning in for that. Lots of people on the ground and lots of perspectives. That's what we do. Lots of perspectives on what is happening. Don't just take my word for it. Understand that this is going to be something else. You know, in our final segment, why does it feel like everyone, fans and national media alike, they're sleeping on Logan Diggs heading into 2025? We dig into that next. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning for a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. And one way you don't build wealth is if you're ordering out all the time. It was nice that Monarch Money was there to actually put down on paper so you could see all of these transactions and how much money builds up on dining out. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first order or your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, for half off your first year. So it's really interesting stuff. I think it's funny, by the way. Logan Diggs is just getting completely overlooked, by me included. I include that. And this is somebody that has had way too many yards, to his credit, to be overlooked. This might be an out of sight, out of mind type deal where he didn't play a year ago because of the injury when he blew out his ACL in the Outback Bowl or ReliaQuest Bowl, whatever that is in Tampa. He missed nearly the whole season. He got one carry and one reception in the Gator Bowl. Now, his one carry, he had one carry for 15 yards, and he looked very explosive doing it. So I'm not necessarily worried about the knee and all of that because I think, listen, ACLs are generally 18-month injuries. You can come back in 5, 6, 7 months, but you're not 100% right for about 18 months. That's just the way it works out. And the way this fell, Ole Miss is kind of benefiting from it because January of 2024 is when he tore his ACL, like January 1st, if you want the thing. He had a full year to get to the Gator Bowl. That was the 1 year mark. He gets to the 18-month mark at about June. So we're there right now. And Logan Diggs, if you look at what he has historically done, his career numbers, he has 337 carries, 1,718 yards over the course of his career, and 14 touchdowns. That is averaging nearly 5 yards per carry. Now, it didn't work out for this Louisiana native at LSU because Jaden Daniels was the quarterback when he was the running back. But Lane Kiffin got to see this running back work in the Jackson Dart Jaden Daniels shootout. Everybody focuses on those two players, and well, they should. Excellent players. Logan Diggs ended up going over 100 yards. For the whole season, he had 500 or so, but you got to see the best of Logan Diggs and what he can provide. And the question becomes, what would you see this running back being? What is his role on this team going to be? Because we have 5 years or so of Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. That's a lot of running backs. You can kick people out and ideas out immediately. Like he is not Quinshon Judkins. He is not Zach Evans. So that's gone. What type of running back is Logan Diggs? He's not Ulysses Bentley. He's not anything that the 2024 Ole Miss team had. He is faster than the Dominic Thomases. He's bigger than the Ulysses Bentley. This by itself, if he is healthy, Ole Miss is upgraded in the running back room over what they had in 2024. He's bigger than Henry Parrish was. Might not be quite as fast. What is he exactly? And I'm thinking about it. Is it a Snoop Connor type running back? Is that the role that he will have going on this team? Will it be the Snoop Connor back? He's not Jerry Ely. He is not, like we said, Henry Parrish. So when you look at the Ole Miss running back room and who has contributed over the course of the last 5 years at Ole Miss, Logan Diggs kind of has that Snoop Connor type feel. Now, how did they use Snoop Connor? It's a legitimate question, even though he might be the gray beard that's in the room, somebody that's been around quite a bit. Snoop Connor was the guy that came in and ran against tired legs in the fourth quarter and was very effective. He generally wasn't a first quarter running back. And is that the role of a Logan Diggs? When you have Kewan Lacey, who, in my opinion, if it works, if he can hold on to the football, if he can pick up the pass pro, Kewan Lacey and Shakai Mills-Knight might be the two monsters that are in this backfield. Now, Damian Taylor, the running back that is out of Troy, that is an interesting situation to where he could be. But Ole Miss had Rashad Amos in 2024. So when it comes to a G5 back moving up a level, you need to be careful with it. Whenever you have a freshman or a transfer coming in, you have to be careful with that as well. The one thing that you know in this backfield for certain is the talent and ability of Logan Diggs. And I think this year could be a breakout year for Logan. And if he is good, the offense is going to be really good. Thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your go-to source for Ole Miss sports. We pride ourselves on offering the most comprehensive perspectives, which is why we are the front door of Ole Miss. Your support means the world to us. For a second listen, check out the Portal Show. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. Find the Portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Hotty toddy, everybody, and remember, analytics is just the old English word that means bad football. We'll see you tomorrow.